everyone. Welcome to this special presentation of using 123 for Windows. You know, 123 has been around for a while now, and millions of people have discovered that it's a great manager of information. It's an advanced spreadsheet, a presentation program, and a database, all in one. With this latest release for Windows, there's a whole new and exciting way to use 123. This means you can manage and present your information more effectively than ever before. You get all of the advantages of Windows' graphical interface, combined with the power of 123. Right now, I'll concentrate on showing you what you need to know to get up and running in 123 for Windows. 123 is a great productivity tool. It offers us power to assemble and manipulate any information we supply. 123 gives us freedom to accomplish our creative ideas. Lotus 123 helps us sort, calculate, or manipulate numbers, as well as list, file, recalculate, present, and print out our information. To begin using 123 for Windows, a 286, 386, or 486 base computer is required. The computer must be compatible with a Microsoft Windows 3.0. Also, you need a hard disk with at least 5 megabytes of available space, an EGA or VGA monitor, and a minimum of 2 megabytes of random access memory or RAM. As well, you must have Windows version 3.0 installed and utilizing DOS version 3.1 or later. A mouse is an optional input device which I highly recommend. Windows brings several different software resources together in what's called a common user interface. Windows is a flexible, graphical environment, and now Lotus 123 can be integrated. Let's take a look at it. To install 123 for Windows on a stand-alone computer, the 123 for Windows install program must be used. This program transfers the necessary program files to the hard disk. To do this, first insert the number 1 install diskette into Drive A and close the door. Open the Windows Program Manager. We should choose File Run and type A install in the command line text box. If you want to start install from a different drive than Drive A, substitute the letter of that drive. Then select OK. An introductory screen appears. Select OK again to start install. The special Logic Notes booklet accompanies this program and provides a great reference to take to your computer. It contains step-by-step instructions concerning the install procedure, as well as some of the common keystroke commands that you'll need to get up and running. It's full of lists and references that I'll be pointing out later. The install program consists of a series of dialog boxes. We can get help anytime by clicking on Help. By the way, it's a good idea to make a backup copy of the 123 installation diskettes. The disk must be the same density as the disk that came with your 123 package. For example, if you're using 5 1/4 diskettes, you can't back up files or disk copy files onto 3 1/2 diskettes. Now, once 123 is loaded, we can start it from within the Windows environment. There's a special Lotus Applications window or a Windows Group window that contains 123. We just double-click the mouse on the 123 icon or press the arrow keys to move the highlight to that 123 icon and press Enter. There it is. For this demonstration, I'll be using the mouse. It's easier and you'll be able to focus on what I point out. 123 displays the title screen briefly, then opens a brand new worksheet file ready to go. Now that we're here, and since this is the place we'll be most often in 123, let's take a moment and get acquainted with a few of the features on this opening screen. All Windows programs have a title bar at the top showing the name of the program that is currently active. If the name of the file is in the Windows title bar, that is the active window. At the extreme left of the title bar is a dash referred to as the Windows Control Menu box. When we click on it, the Control menu appears. This menu is for minimizing or maximizing the window. Minimizing is making it small. Maximizing is making it large. From here, we can close the program or switch to a different application. At the extreme right of the title bar are the Minimize and Maximize buttons. These are easier to use when reducing the window to an icon or when enlarging it to fill up the entire screen. Next, on the second line of the 1, 2, 3 for Windows screen is the menu bar. This resembles the menu from other releases of 1, 2, 3, but like all Windows applications, the first two menu commands are File and Edit. After that, the Worksheet, Range, Graph, and Data commands are the same as in earlier versions of 1, 2, 3. Printing, however, is now part of the File menu, similar to other Windows applications. The other menu commands, Style, Tools, and Window, are new. I'll cover the important aspects of the menu commands as we go along. Right now, let's look at the next line on the worksheet screen. The third line gives us symbolic format information concerning the active cell. For example, we can see the cell height or the special font selected, if bold or underline are being employed, or whether the column width or cell protect are selected. And the mode indicator over here informs us of the current mode in which 1, 2, 3 is operating. The fourth line of the screen shows us the address of the cell pointer, and then the contents panel of the highlighted cell. We can click anywhere in the content area using the mouse and then edit what had been previously entered in that cell. When the background color changes, it means we're in the edit mode, and buttons appear to let us confirm or cancel edits. A green check or a red X appears for our selection. The fifth line shows the default setting of the Smart icons. These are one-click shortcuts for most of the common spreadsheet commands. I'll be using these Smart icons quite a bit. Now, on the right and at the bottom of the screen are scroll bars, which let us move around in the worksheet. They allow us to look at more information vertically, above or below the current window, or horizontally. Just click and drag. Down here at the very bottom is the status line, where we can see the current date and time, and other information, like whether the numlock key is on, or the caps lock or scroll lock keys have been selected. To use the Windows menus, click on the menu bar choice, or press the Alt key plus the first letter of the menu choice. Or we can press the F10 key to activate the menu highlight, and then use the arrow keys to move along the menu line. When we select a menu choice or highlight a command, the title bar at the top displays a line of text that describes what that command does. Also, dialog boxes help us make the program do what we want. Let's take a minute and learn a little more about the menu system and how to use the dialog boxes to help us initially set up our program's default subdirectory. Okay, here in the Tools menu, notice that except for one choice, every command is followed by an ellipse. These dots here, following the menu choice, mean that a dialog box will appear when the command is chosen. A command followed by an arrowhead leads to more pull-down menus. If a menu command does not have a symbol after it, then that command executes when selected. I'll select User Setup. This dialog box exemplifies some of the elements common to all dialog boxes. First, there are checkboxes where we can check off one or more choices. There are command buttons where we can specify one of several mutually exclusive choices. There are command buttons where we can execute a command or make a selection that leads to additional dialog boxes. Also, there can be text boxes where data is input from the keyboard or entered by clicking on a listed choice. Dialog boxes can be moved just like any window. And remember the mode indicator? When I click in the text box, the mode indicator in the upper right corner of the screen displays Edit. That means that now I can enter data in the box from the keyboard. In this particular text box, I could enter the location of the subdirectory that I want for my worksheet files. Let's see. I'll call mine WK Data. Click OK, and we can return to the worksheet. Now let's open a file. Click on the File Open smart icon. Here are some more text boxes and a couple of list boxes. The current path is a text box. The files list is here, and the directories list is here. And here is a drop-down list that displays the available disk drives. If I click a name in the file list, the name of that file appears in the File Name text box above. I could select another file, and if there was a long list, I could type a letter. And 123 jumps to the first file name that begins with that letter. Now we can really find the files we need quickly. Once the file is open, I can click over here on the Maximize button and the worksheet fills the screen. Before we go too far, let me give you a simple overview of just what a spreadsheet is and how it basically works. An electronic worksheet is like an accountant's columnar pad on a computer screen. This pad is organized into columns and rows. The columns run vertically from top to bottom. The rows go horizontally across from left to right. This framework is the basic structure of any worksheet. Letters across the top identify the columns starting with A and going to Z, then AA to AZ, then BA, CA, and all the way to IA, then ending with IV, going 256 columns across. Along the left, numbers identify each row, from row 1 to 8,192. The smallest unit of a worksheet is called a cell. A cell is where a column and a row intersect. A column is identified by a letter. A row is identified by a number. The cell can now be identified according to the corresponding column letter and row number. We enter basic worksheet information into these individual cells. Therefore, each cell holds one entry or one piece of data. The highlight indicates the current cell. The current cell is where information is entered. To highlight a different cell, just click to it. If we don't see the cell we want, we can scroll over using the scroll bars. Or we can use the page up key, the page down key. The tab key moves us a page over, and the shift tab a page back. The arrow keys move us one cell at a time. Returning to the home cell, cell A1, is easy. Just click the worksheet letter in the upper left corner where the row and columns come together, or press the home key. To enter data, press the enter key, or press an arrow key. Or click on the check mark to accept the numerical data, and it appears in the current cell. Moving around the worksheet quickly is helpful. Lotus designates the page up and page down keys to go up or down. The arrow keys accept data and move the highlight. The tab key and the shift tab key combination allow movement over a full screen and back. These movement keys are great to play around with, to see just what they do and where they take you. Every worksheet file in 123 can contain more than one worksheet. In fact, there can be up to 256 different worksheets open at the same time, like Worksheet A and Worksheet B and C, all in one worksheet file. The commands to insert a new worksheet are easy. From the Worksheet menu, Insert, Sheet, then use the Control plus Page Down or Control plus Page Up keys to move between the different worksheets. We can see the different worksheet designations in the corner. Okay, if you enter text or numbers while a cell is highlighted, the data goes into that cell. And information in any cell can be overwritten with new information by simply putting the new data into the cell, pressing enter, and the new data replaces the old. The contents of a cell or cells can be cut, copied, moved, or printed. Once an area has been designated, we can edit in several ways. In fact, with the new Smart icons, it's easy. For example, to copy this cell's data, I could select it. Click on the Copy Smart icon. Position the cell pointer in a new cell and click on the Paste icon. There's even a new Quick Copy feature located in the Edit menu. Here we can copy a particular cell, formula, style, or font to another cell. Let me show you. I'll copy this cell's font style. I'll move to where I want to capture the original style. Choose Edit. Quick Copy. And notice that the dialog box lets me choose between copying only formats or values, depending on whether I choose styles only or convert to values. I can also move this box out of my way if it blocks my view. And I can use the mouse to select the range I want my style changes to affect. Use the mouse to select. Then the chosen range appears in the To text box. Now I'll simply select OK. It's that easy. Of course, you can enter any edit changes directly in the text boxes, using the Delete and Backspace keys to remove any unwanted characters. Then when finished, press the Enter key or click the OK check to record the changes on the worksheet. There are a couple of more little boxes on the screen that are very helpful. These are worth noting. Okay, let's say we have a big worksheet and it's difficult to scroll back and forth and see what information correlates with different columns and rows of data. Well, we could split the screen. Let me explain. See these little double-headed arrows above the vertical and to the left of the horizontal scroll bar? Notice how my arrow changes to the same icon. I'll click on the vertical screen splitter icon. Drag it to the right. A vertical black line shows where the screen will split when I let go. Click in any cell in the right screen. Now tab over a few times. How about scrolling? See? The selected window moves. When I page down, both move together. Now I can compare values or data in different parts of the worksheet and keep up with the row headings. Let's try the other direction. Press Home to return to A1. Let's grab the double-headed arrow in the upper right corner. Click and hold. Drag the splinter boundary down. Release the mouse button and the window splits horizontally. Now when I page down, I can still see my column headings. And when I move to the right, both screens move together. To restore the screen to normal, drag the double-headed arrow back where it came from. Freeze the column to the left with the Worksheet Titles vertical command. While we're on the subject of the worksheet screen, let me mention that the cell size is adjustable. You can change the column width or the row height. Point to the boundary edge where two rows or columns intersect. The mouse pointer changes to a two-headed arrow. Now drag the boundaries to increase the width or height of a column or row. Couldn't be easier. And what about compatibility for everybody that's a long-time 123 user? Well, you can use any worksheet file from any previous version of 123. I mean, there are 15 million people that are 123 users. Well, macros are totally supported in 123 for Windows. And what about those classic slash commands that 123 users mastered over the years? Press the slash command or the colon key and those familiar menus are presented. That means that retraining is minimal, plus everyone can now use all the new features that this Windows release offers. It's a big help. And speaking of help, look at this. Click on the Help menu or press F1 and full context sensitive help appears. It's incredibly comprehensive. Now let's go back and talk a little about those smart icons I mentioned a while ago. Smart icons are a very special and innovative new part of 123 for Windows. They're sort of like three-dimensional buttons that represent different command tasks you will need. By the way, you must have a mouse to use the smart icons. Let me give you some examples. Whenever you click on a selected icon, 123 executes that task. To open a file, click the File Open icon. It looks like a diskette with an arrow pointing up and away. File Save is a diskette with an arrow in the reverse direction. The File Open icon is the same as clicking File and moving the mouse pointer to Open and clicking once again there. If some of the icons don't look familiar, well, it may take a little time to get to know them. But anytime we put the mouse pointer on an icon and press the right mouse button, a description of its function temporarily replaces the title bar until we release the button or point to a different icon or to another part of the screen. For example, it says that the little reverse arrow is the undo feature, which of course cancels out our last command or action. The icons can be relocated anywhere on the worksheet screen we want. In the Tools menu, there's the Smart Icon command. Here, we can select from a dialog box to position the palette. Simply select the desired button, or we can hide them altogether. And look, we can even customize the Smart Icons. And there are additional icons we can add to our selection. For example, I want to change the icons to floating so I can move them around. We can even change the shape of the icon box. Icons are the quick and easy way to use 123. They're faster than choosing a menu item and are a great way to learn 123 for Windows. Okay, when we put information into the worksheet, the cell contents appear in the Edit line of the Cell Contents panel. We can enter up to 512 characters in a single cell. Remember, the check or the X are the confirm or cancel buttons, or press the Enter key to confirm the entry. Note that there are only two types of cell entries, labels and values. Labels are text entries. Values are numbers, formulas, or preset mathematical functions, functions that are entered into a cell. Labels are often textual headings that identify values. A label might be a main textual heading that identifies the overall content of the worksheet, such as employee data. Labels are often used to identify columns and rows of textual or numerical values. An example might be employee's last and first name, hire date, employee number, and so on. If the first character you type into a cell is a letter, 123 assumes you are entering a label. If you enter a number or a certain symbol, like a plus, minus, parentheses, period, @ symbol, number sign, $sign, or any currency symbol, the program assumes you're entering a value. When you enter a label prefix character is inserted before the first letter. Different label prefix characters cause a different result. An apostrophe aligns the label to the left of the cell. This is the default alignment. A quotation mark aligns the label to the right of the cell. An up caret aligns an entry into the center of the cell. A backslash causes the character immediately following to repeat and fill up the entire cell width. And a vertical bar tells 123 not to print that row of data. Once textual data is entered into a cell, there's a quick way to realign it. Select that cell or a range of cells and simply click on the smart icon that aligns the cell's contents. Each icon displays a visual representation of a particular format. Left, centered, right, and there's even a justified smart icon that can be included in the smart icon selection. Notice here, the label is wider than the cell, but but because the neighboring cells are empty, the label is displayed over those empty cells. Move the cell pointer to the next cell and the Contents panel shows us that it's empty and available for something to be entered. When I enter something into this adjacent cell, it truncates the contents of the cell to the left. When I widen the column, the contents reappear. Let's enter another label. I'll move to the cell where the label is to be entered and type the information, then press Enter. The label is entered into the cell. Notice that it is aligned to the left side of the cell. Click on the center icon and it's centered. Label alignment options are great because they let us dictate how the worksheet will look. Now, what about numbers that are not values? Not all numbers are used as values. For example, dates can be entered as labels or as values. When a label prefix is used to left align or center a value, it immediately becomes a label and cannot be used in calculations. Like, for example, if we wanted to calculate the length of time between two dates, well, that means the dates would have to be entered as values. Time as well as dates can be either labels or values. To enter time as text only, begin with a label prefix character and then enter the time. At some point, we may want to enter a phone number or employee number as a label. Or, for example, what about an address? To do this, we need to enter an apostrophe as the label alignment prefix. Then enter the numbers and they will be left aligned. You could enter the prefixes to center or right align labels. One of the best features of 123 is the use of different types of formulas. There are 3 types of formulas: numeric, textual, and logical. Numeric formulas perform mathematical operations on values in specified cell or group of cells. Formulas include the arithmetic operators like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and what are called at functions. For example, adding cell values or subtracting one value from another can be done with a numeric formula. Text formulas perform calculations with text or labels enclosed in quotation marks. Text operators are the ampersand or sum at functions. Logical formulas inform us if a certain condition is either true or false. For example, in our list of employees, the column that indicated whether a certain employee participated in profit sharing or a retirement plan contained a yes or a no condition. The logical operators to formulate this data are the greater than symbol, the less than symbol, the equal to symbol, not, and or placed between number symbols, and of course, the at functions. Watch as I use a long-form numeric formula and total the values in this column. When entering formulas, I must first move to the cell where I want the result displayed. That's important, and in this case, I'll move to a vacant cell below this column of values. Now, type a plus sign. Formulas begin with a plus sign to differentiate them from labels. Next, I'll type a plus between each cell address I want added together. The plus sign is the symbol telling 123 to add the values. I'll press the Enter key to accept the formula. This formula is a bit lengthy, but it automatically adds the values, then displays the result in a cell. Because cell addresses were used to total the column, I can change a cell's value and the formula will recalculate using the new value. Formulas are powerful. They can include any combination of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and any of the preset at function formulas that come with the program. To subtract, use the hyphen or a dash between the cell addresses. To multiply values, use the asterisk, and to divide, use a slash. But remember, all formulas must begin with a plus sign. Okay, I specified a cell address when I created my last formula, but I can also select a range of cells to be included in a formula. A range is a group of cells. In the cell where we want a formula, enter an @ symbol, then a function word, like @sum, to add up a column or row, and then type in open parentheses. Notice that the mode indicator changes to value. Select the range of cells. In this example, I'll select these cells in this column. I'll click and hold at the top and then drag the mouse to the end of my range. Then I can close the parentheses to complete the @sum function. Confirm the entry or press Enter. The sum of the values in the column are placed in the cell where I entered the function formula. And now, let me show you a new way to do this. Since addition is the most common function used in 123, Lotus provided a smart icon. If we select the first cell below a range of values and then click on the sum icon, the closest adjacent range of cells are added. We can add up columns or rows. By the way, formulas perform operations in certain order. This is called the precedence of numbers. Logic Notes contains a list of the sequence in which 123 calculates. It is possible to override the order of precedence by enclosing an operation in parentheses. 123 performs operations inside parentheses first. Now, formulas can also be copied, like we did with labels, values, and styles. This is different than simply copying data because formulas can be either relative, absolute, or mixed. Cell addresses are normally relative. That means that the geographic location of one cell to another is noted and remembered when formulas are copied. Take our summation example. If I wanted to total the values in the next column, I could copy the formula from the first column. The geographic reference to the new range of cells changes with the new formula location. Select the cell, click on Copy to Clipboard. Select the new cell address. Click on Paste. See the formula in the Formula Contents box? Now the function refers to the cells in the column above. Anytime you copy a formula, Lotus takes into consideration its geographic or spatial position in relation to the other cells. An absolute cell address, on the other hand, is a non-changing reference to the address of a particular cell. No matter where you copy it, that particular cell in the formula remains the same. The $sign placed before either the column or row identifies the cell and makes it non-changing or absolute. A mixed cell address combines relative and absolute addresses. For example, one of the cell elements could be fixed, like this row, while the other elements, like a column, could be left as is, or relative. A good way to learn is by example, so follow along as I create a mixed-use multiple worksheet. Let's start with my employees data worksheet. First, I'll insert a new worksheet before the current worksheet. Worksheet, Insert, Sheet, Before. OK. Here, I'll enter the business expenses of my hypothetical company. I'll give the worksheet a title. Let's call it Business Expenses. We could choose to dress up the font if we wanted to. Let's see. Bold, italic. That's better. Since I'm going to enter descriptions in column A, I'll make that column wider. No problem. Now I'll enter my cost descriptions. Salary, rent, advertisement, cost of goods, and operational expense. Across from the description, let's say these expenses are for a 3-month term and a quarterly total. Now check this. I know the salaries have been the same for the last 3 months and that they are listed on each employee's data line on the Employees Data Worksheet. Press the Ctrl+ page up to go back to that worksheet. First, I'll quickly total the monthly salary column. Next, I'll note the address of this column and row on this worksheet. Then, go back to my expense worksheet and enter that cell address. First, enter a plus sign to tell 123 it is a value. Then, edit, quick copy to convert the values. Then copy the values to the other months. Now I'll enter the various expenses to fill out the rest of the business expenses worksheet. I'll select this range of values and select the dollar icon to add the dollar signs. If any values are wider than the column, a row of asterisks indicate that you need to widen the column. To total the columns and rows, select the range, then click on the sum icon. Now let's add another worksheet to this file. Select Worksheet, Insert, Sheet, and Before again. Now we have a new worksheet, A. Let's call this one Business Sales. We'll put the description of our products in column A. Let's say we're in the toy business. I can put in trains, and planes, and dolls, parlor games, video games, and computer games, sporting toys, and electronic toys. You know, I like my column heading centered. A 3-month report and a quarterly total will match our business expenses worksheet. I'll take a second to fill in the values. I can then total all the columns and rows. I could describe a new row to insert the expenses from the business expenses worksheet, and the difference would give us our net revenue. I'll insert the totals from each month from the previous worksheet by simply putting in those addresses using that worksheet letter designation. In this case, it's B, then a colon, then the cell address. Remember, always start the value entry with a plus. Now I can identify a new row to show net revenue. Here I'll subtract the expense cell from the sales cell for this column. Then copy that formula to the other months of the quarter. And now we can tell how we're doing. Now I'll use the graph as a tool to illustrate the relationship between my numbers. I'll create a graph to show the relationship between the different products that our toy company has sold. To create a graph, select the range to use. Let's see, I'll select January's toy sales. Now choose the graph. New commands. The data in the worksheet is linked to the graph so that if you change any data in the worksheet, it automatically reflects the changes in the graph. Choose a name for the graph in the Graph Name text box or accept the default name. Select OK. Well, this line graph doesn't look very meaningful, so let's select a different type of graph. Click on Chart, Type. I'll select Bar Chart. There, that looks like a meaningful graph. Now I can see how my various toy products stacked up for the first month. I could add titles and subtitles, give the chart a legend, and all kinds of enhancements, but you get the idea. And if you want to add the graph to your worksheet, highlight the range where you want the graph. Select Graph, Add to Sheet, and there it is. And remember my employee data worksheet? Well, 123 is also a relational database manager. That means that I could keep all my staff's records in a variety of files and make the information interrelate. I can compare data in different databases. A database table consists of records and fields. A table may be located on Worksheet or in an external database. Let's say I need to know how many of the employees have been with the company more than 3 years, and also how many are in the profit-sharing plan. I could select Data, Query, Input, Range to select the records to search for, and then define a criterion for 123 to use when it searches those records. Next, I'll tell 123 where I want the records that I extract, so I'll specify an output range. 123 searches the input ranges for records that match the criteria. It then copies those records in the rows of the output range that were selected. It's really easy to use. Remember, F1 will give you help in any part of the program you're in. Well, I'm out of time. Thanks for joining me. I think you have what you need now to get up and running using 123 for Windows. So long.